Hi, grade 3-4. Today I'm going to be reading you part of a book called Experiments with Motion. And this is because we are going to move from magnets to learning about motion and forces. We will kind of come back to magnets a little bit later in the year, but for now we're going to be starting to learn about some other kinds of forces that are not magnetic forces. And today we're going to be focusing especially on something called inertia. So in this book, we have Find the Truth page, just like we did in the book on magnets. And it says, everything you are about to read is true except for one of the sentences on this page. Which is true? Which one is true? Inertia can be demonstrated by objects at rest. Many people use perpetual motion machines to save energy. We're going to find the answers in this book. We're going to be asking, what is inertia? What is perpetual motion? What is a perpetual motion machine? We're going to find that out. So we're going to start with actually chapter 2, which is called Motion, Inertia, and Friction. And at the end of reading chapter 2, there's an experiment. And I'm not going to have you do the experiment today. We're going to do the experiment next week. I'm just going to have you start to gather some materials that you could use to do this experiment. So first we're going to read, and then we're going to talk about the experiment and what kind of materials you will need to gather. Motion, inertia, and friction. When something changes its position, it is said to be in motion. People riding roller coasters are in motion. So are skiers swooping down snowy mountainsides and skaters spinning in circles. Whether they know it or not, they are all following certain laws of motion. In this book, we will learn some of these laws. We will also do some experiments to see how they work. So here's a picture, and it says, on the caption, it says, some roller coasters go faster than 120 miles per hour, 193 kilometers per hour. So that's motion. Anything that's changing position. So there's some laws about motion that everything in the world follows. Law number 1. The first law of motion has to do with inertia. It's a bolded word, so I could look it up in the glossary. But I think it's also going to give us the definition right here. Inertia is the tendency for things to keep doing what they're doing. A ball rolling down a hill will keep rolling until something stops it. A rock sitting on the ground will stay sitting until something moves it. The rolling ball and the sitting rock both have inertia. So anything that is sitting or moving has inertia. Whatever it's doing is going to keep doing that. So here's a picture of these two really big rocks. They're not moving. They're just sitting here. More force will be needed to overcome the inertia of the larger rock on the right. So you're going to need to push this one a lot harder to make it move than you would need to push this one. Because right now they're just sitting there. They have inertia to just sit and stay. And to make them move, you'd have to push this one with a lot more force because it's larger. The law of inertia says that an object in motion will tend to stay in motion. So if something's moving, it's going to keep moving, generally. That's what tend to means. And an object at rest will tend to stay at rest. Something that's sitting, not moving, it's going to keep doing that. That's inertia. You see the law of inertia at work every day, but probably don't notice it. So let's do a demonstration of this law. Then we'll set up some experiments to learn more about motion and inertia. So here's a picture of a car, and it says, inertia helps keep a speeding car moving. So we've reached the part where now we're going to look at some experiments we're going to be doing next week to demonstrate this idea that something that's staying still, that's at rest, it's going to keep doing that unless something hits it or something like that. And something that's in motion is going to keep going in motion unless something happens that would change it. So things that are resting, they want to keep resting. Things that are in motion, they want to keep going in motion. So the materials we're going to need are in this picture, and they recommend you have a skateboard, a wooden plank that is about 2 meters long and at least 8 centimeters wide, some kind of desk or table, and a concrete block. And then also a little action figure or doll. It could be any kind of little plastic toy. And let me show you why you would need that. You're going to be trying to make a ramp like this. So getting a board and putting it against a table and stopping it with a block. Now you could do this outside in your garden. If you have some blocks out there and you have any boards, it could be a piece of wood, it could be a piece of plywood, it could be an old table, anything that will get you a kind of ramp, because you'll need a ramp in your experiment. So you don't have to have exactly these materials, but something kind of close to this so that you can make a ramp. The other things you're going to need are going to be some kind of rolling platform. Now they recommend having a skateboard. I don't think anyone has a skateboard, but I could be wrong. If you have a skateboard, you can use that. If you have a toy car that you could rest something on, you could do that. The key though is you have to be able to put something little on it, and that little thing has to stay there as it rolls down. So as that little figure is rolling down, it has to be able to sit on top of the skateboard. So it could be like a bigger toy car, it could be a skateboard, it could be something where it's a flat surface you can put a toy on top of. And the idea is that you're going to be setting it up like this and then letting go and seeing what happens to that little toy figure. And that's going to be exploring this law of inertia. If that little toy figure is staying still on top of the skateboard, but the skateboard is moving, what will happen when the skateboard gets to the end of the ramp and hits the block? What will happen to the skateboard? What will happen to the toy figure? That's what our experiment will be. So again, try and get these materials, and you're going to be leaving me a video telling me which of these you have and which of these you don't have, or if you have anything that might work, and showing them to me and seeing. So again, to make the ramp, you're going to need the table, a board, and a block. And to make the moving vehicle, you need a skateboard or something else that rolls, and a little tiny figure or toy that could sit on top of the moving thing and stay there, kind of sitting on top of it until it gets to the end of the ramp. Okay? So go see if you can find those things. Ask your parents or your siblings if you need help. And we're going to be doing these experiments next week, so you have until Monday to gather these materials together. All right? Can't wait to do these experiments next week to investigate the law of inertia.